Last year, I built my first ever cold calling team, and that team went from a bunch of loser nobodies to booking over 16 appointments every single day, and there's only 3 of them. And so today, I'm going to share with you the most boring yet educational video you've ever watched on hiring, finding, training, managing an SMMA cold calling team so that you can make more money, and so will the people you hire. Okay, we're not here to scam. So, like I said, it's going to be boring, so get your notepad out, get your pen and paper out, get your highlighter out. It's going to be a boring video, but it's going to be educational. I'm actually going to share with you everything. I'm not gatekeeping anything. Every single thing to do with training, hiring, finding, qualifying, SOPs will be in this video. It's going to be a long one, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. And let's talk about how to build your SMMA cold calling team. Full in-depth training. This is normally, I only reserve this for my paid clients, yet today I'm exposing it to the world so you can have it for free. So, couple of things we're going to go through today is the team setup, how to actually set up the team, how to find the people, how to qualify and hire them, and what kind of traits we're looking for, what questions to ask, what interview process to do, the trainings and SOPs, okay? So what trainings should you give them? How should you give the trainings? How should you make the trainings? All those questions I will answer. How to actually manage your team, and how to make sure you have the right culture for longevity so you can keep and retain the people you hire. Right, a lot of people, they can hire a bunch of people, and then after a week, everyone leaves, and they have no team. Right, so that's what I'm gonna share with you today. And the reason why you need a cold calling team is you can't do it all yourself. All right, the point of being a business in the beginning, fine, you can cold call yourself, but at some point, you're going to have to delegate. You're going to have to expand. You're going to have to bring people into your team so you can actually scale, so you can focus on other aspects of the business while you get people to help you with the day-to-day operations. And one of those things is cold calling, if that's what you do. So, first things first. Okay, we're going to talk about team setup. The setup of your team is very simple. I'm not going to go too in depth in this. You just want to have as many callers as you need, but you need to have a minimum, okay, a minimum of 2. And the reason for this is we only know what's light because we compare it to dark. And so you only know who's good when you compare them to someone who's bad. And what happens when you have more than one person, you get people to compete against each other. Now, I would actually vouch that you should have definitely more than 2, like even 4, for example, because what can happen is these 4 people can split off into 2 groups of 2, and they can role play with each other and train against each other and almost form a bit of an alliance, like, oh, it's us 2 versus them 2. And you make this competition even greater amongst the team. Now, how many people you actually want to hire will depend on A, what you can manage, and B, what you need, right? If you can't manage a team of 100 people, don't hire 100 people, okay? And also, if you have a team of 100 people, but you can only handle 5 appointments a day, then you might be, shitting yourself because you don't need to have that many appointments. And so the team setup really kind of depends on what you need and what you can handle. And from there is how you realize how many you need to actually find and hire. Alrighty, but minimum of 2 so you can actually compare both of them against each other. Now, let's talk about how to find them. And I'm going to share with you strategies no one's ever told you before. So the place you want to find them, there's lots of places, but the places we're going to talk about is you can find these people in school communities, in Discord groups, and Facebook groups. And I'll tell you specifically what ones. Also Telegram channels, okay, Twitter accounts, and then, or even like communities, and then Instagram accounts. And so these are the places, and I'll tell you what to search for, because you don't just want to go into these groups randomly. You can also find these people on LinkedIn and like Upwork, Fiverr. But I'll tell you my favorite ones, which is probably the Telegram, Twitter, and the school and Discord. And so what you want to do is when you're hiring these people, you want to go into self-improvement. Okay, so I'll put this on here. You want to go into self-improvement school communities, Discord groups, Facebook groups, Telegram channels based around self-improvement, Twitter accounts or communities based on self-improvement, Instagram accounts that are focused on self-improvement, or even big people in the space like Iman Gaji, Andrew Tate, etc. Right? Because what will happen is in these groups, you have young guys who are hungry, who want to learn and make money online, who are open, who don't have the biggest ego, who just want to improve, and who will be primed for who you want to hire. Okay? Now, granted, you can go into sales and agency and cold calling and appointment setting, schools, Discord groups, Facebook groups, etc. But going into self-improvement is better because you get young guys who are hungry who don't actually run their own business yet, and therefore they're open to joining someone else's. Now, another thing you can do is with Twitter accounts, you can go to people, like Andrew Tate, Iman Gaji, Luke Belmar, and go to people replying to their tweets or replying to their Instagram posts, etc., and find people that way because those are people that are in the niche, etc. And then LinkedIn, you want to find people who are are in the agency space, who are in the cold calling space, who are in perhaps the outbound space, who are in the appointment setting space, who are even in the customer service space, because a lot of the customer service people are on the phone all the time. And those are other good places you can look for, right? Upwork, once again, same kind of thing. But those are some of the best ways you can actually find good, high-quality talent. My favorite, right, you can go in the agency spaces, you can go in the sales, whatever. Typically people that are in the sales space are either good and are already in an offer, or shit and aren't on an offer but have too big of an ego to join you. But the primary thing you want to notice here is when finding, or actually when qualifying and hiring, we'll talk about in a second, is you just want to find the people with the right soft skills, alrighty? And so when you hire someone, there's two things. You have soft skills and you have hard skills. And so a soft skill is something like their work ethic, right? Or their work ethic, right? Or their drive, those kind of things. Those are soft skills. Hard skills are things like reading the script, right? Like if let's say if you're doing plumbing, it would be teaching someone how to fucking unplug the thing or how to do the plumbing, right? Those are hard skills. And here's the thing. It's a lot easier to teach somebody hard skills than it is soft skills, right? It's easier to teach someone how to read a script than it is to teach them to have a hard drive and a work ethic, right? It's a lot harder to teach how to have a good ethic, right? How to have good drive and determination. And so what we do is when we go to hire, and this is in the next section, is when we go to hire people, we want to look for people with the soft skills. So, for example, in cold calling, you need someone with a lot of grit. You need someone with a lot of determination. You need someone who won't give up easily. Like, those are the soft skills you're looking for. And it just so happens to be that people in the self-improvement space have a lot of these soft skills. Another type of person that would have these soft skills are athletes. And so maybe finding athletes who want to find a way to make money online could also be a good, opportunity as well. Now, granted, I'll throw in one other thing here. When you're finding people, you can just go and post on your personal story or look in your personal network to see if there's anybody in there that could kind of fit this sort of thing, right? I know the first thing I did is I looked at my personal network. Hey, do I have any brothers, any cousins, any friends that would want to learn how to make money online, right? And once again, you're just looking for the soft skills, because I can easily teach anybody how to read a script, how to say a few words, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But it's really hard to teach someone to get up every single day, face 100 no's, and keep going after that. And therefore, when we're actually trying to qualify and hire people, I want to look for the soft skills. Now, the sort of framework I like to use for how to actually interview these people is if you're interviewing at mass scale, so let's say more than 20, then what I do is I have one group interview. So I guess I'll write this down, right? If you're interviewing 20 or greater, I think it's greater than 20. Yeah, this is 20 or greater. What I want to do is I want to have one group interview, and at the end of the group interview, you just ask who, if you were me, who would you hire? Right? And you just ask everyone this. And what you do is typically everyone will say the same three people. And if you agree with those same three people, which you probably would, you then just take those three people and you do one-on-ones with those three people. Right? It may be more than three, maybe less than three, etc. But the point is, at the end of this group interview, which is just where you're kind of asking some questions, getting to know them, etc., and getting their prior sales experience, maybe doing a bit of role play, maybe doing a call review, etc. You just get the whole group and say, hey, if you were me and you had to hire one person, you couldn't pick yourself, who would you hire? And most of the group will say the same few people, which will give you a good idea of who's good and who's not if you're doing more than 20. Now, if you are doing less than 20, right? So typically this is most people, they have 5 to 10 applicants. Just go straight to one-to-one calls, right? And on these one-to-one calls, I don't need to sit here and ask for their family background and what their close rate is. I just want to see some live in-practice stuff, right? I just want to see, hey, do you have a call we can quickly review? Do you have a call that you did that you're not proud of that was bad? Do you want to share with me and share why it was bad and what you've done to improve? Or hey, let's do a bit of role play with each other, right? I just want to get a feel for them and kind of figure out hey, are they a good culture fit? Would they be a good fit for my company? That's the most important thing, is culture fit, right? It's a lot easier to train someone how to be good at sales and to make sure they're a good culture fit. And at the end of the day, if they're not a good culture fit, they're going to leave anyway. And so I really want to make sure I mesh and vibe with the person. Otherwise, the relationship won't work. And so that's the most important thing for me, is making sure they're a good culture fit. I can teach them everything else, right? How good they are at sales and objection handling is not as important to me as are they a good culture fit? Will they mesh well with my team and the clients they're going to be talking to? Okay, that's the main thing I'm looking for when actually trying to qualify and hire these people is, are they a good culture fit? Do we have the same values, the same morals, the same work ethic, etc.? Do we connect? Could I see myself being friends with this person? Because the way I run my team is I like to become friends with them. I want to get to know them. What is their workout plan? What is their workout split? What is their personal goals? What is their family life? What are they trying to achieve in life? I want to get to know them. And therefore, if I don't like them, we're not going to work well together. So, if you're doing less than 20, it's one-to-ones. And like I said, I want to check if they're a good culture fit. That's the first thing. Is, are they a good culture fit? And then I just want to see some like real life experience. And so one of the things you can actually do if you don't have many calls, you can do 2 calls. So on the first call, you would just do this. And on the second call, what you do is on the first call, you'd give them some feedback on something, like a way to objection handle or a different discovery or probing question, etc. And on the second call, you do that same, role play, etc. And you see if they changed. You see if they actually listened to you. And if they did, that means that they're coachable. That means they're teachable. And it means they're probably going to be a good fit because they can actually listen. If they didn't make the changes and they couldn't be bothered, they're probably not going to be a good fit because they can't even listen to one little bit of feedback now. What's to say they're going to listen to any feedback later? All right, so that's actually a really good way you can check to see if someone is a good fit is by having these 2 calls. And so what you do is, let's say if you have 10 people, right, you have the 10 one-on-ones, and of the 10 one-on-ones, maybe you bring it down to 5 people, and those 5 people you bring those feedback to, and you have one more one-on-one with each of them. And then from there, you can make your decision. Or you can hire all 5, right, depending on the size of your team, etc. So that's kind of the qualifying and hiring process. And once again, right here, as soon as you figure out they're on, boom. You say, hey, looks like you'll be a good fit. And then the biggest thing to do here, and I'll write this here, is once you qualify and hire, there's 2 things you got to do. You got to onboard them. And on this onboarding call, you really do 2 things. You set them up with what they need, and you set expectations. Probably the most important thing is this, is setting this expectation. What do you expect from them? What should they expect from you? How are you guys going to communicate? What's expected? What are they, how many dials are they supposed to do? What's the KPIs they're supposed to hit? Where are they supposed to track? How are they supposed to get leads? This call, when you onboard them, should be just as important as if you're onboarding a new client. Like, you have to take this seriously because this will determine the sort of strength of your relationship and also the strength of your team is how well you onboard them. And so on the onboarding call, you need to set them up. Okay, so this is with leads, with callers, right? So what phone call they're going to use, with any other softwares, with KPIs, right? With calls, right? So let's say if you guys have team calls, with tracking, with communication, etc. These are all the things you need to set up. And then the last thing is to set expectations, right? So, expectation is 200 per day, and they should already know this from the call before. KPI, right, is, let's say 40 appointments a week, right? And then you get paid, 5, whatever, let's just say you get paid 5% of deals that close plus, $20 every showed appointment. Something like this. This is a very simple standard onboarding call is what we would do, okay? Now, once you've actually qualified, once you've hired, which would entail going through this onboarding process, it's time to go through the trainings and SOPs. Now, here's the deal. If this is your first time ever running a team, your trainings will just be live. Like, you're just going to hop on calls with them every single day and do live trainings. And so, for example, maybe you don't have all this stuff set up. What I would do is I'd hop in a call with my team and say, okay, guys, I'm going to get you guys all set up and show you exactly how to do everything. So from A to Z, here's what you do. So first things first, you're going to scrape your leads. Okay, scrape the leads, you go to ABC software, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, then you get the leads. Anyone have any questions? No? Okay, cool. Second thing is, once you got the leads, we're going to import them into this software, blah, 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 blah. Any other questions? No? Okay, cool. 3, once and you're like, this is you just making an SOP in real time. This is on a call, right? So once you've imported leads, it's time to go to the script. Okay, here's how you read, review the script, and get ready. I want you to role play this, 10 times before you go, and then come to me and let me know you got it pat down, and we'll role play, handle the objections you have, and go from there. Once you've scraped the leads, once you've imported the leads, once you've kind of got the script down, now it's time to call. Before you call, make sure you have your KPI tracker set up. Here's the KPI tracker. Here's how you fill it in, blah, 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 blah. Last thing is hit the phones. And then the very last thing is show up to calls, bring your calls, review them, and role play. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? And so this, because you don't have any trainings, you record this, and now this will become your trainings for any future people you hire. And so you do this one time with you do this once with the first cold callers you hire, right? So cold callers, you do this one time. And then after that, when you hire new people, you just send them this recording and say, hey, watch this recording. This will bring you through all the trainings and stuff that we have, blah, 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 blah. Once you've gone through this, DM me, whatever, and I'll give you access to the KPIs and the scripts. Okay, something like that. Now, SOP is just stands for standard operating procedure, which is the way you do things, which is kind of like this. So once again, like let's say if you should make an SOP for scraping leads, right? So like scrape, I'll just give you an example. Scrape leads SOP. This will be on a Google Doc. So step 1, right, is like sign into X software. Step 2, right, make this so easy. Click button, like whatever the button is, right? Step 3, choose city that you're going to scrape from. Step 4, right? And you just go on and on and on to make a step-by-step checklist that even a baboon, an absolute fucking stupid elephant, monkey, salmon, shark, whatever the fuck could follow, and they could make sure they figure this out, right? That's what an SOP is. It stands for Standard Operating Procedure, which is the way you do things. So that way, if anyone's like, how do I do this? You just send them the SOP and they can figure it out. That way, you don't have to repeat and reiterate and keep explaining yourself all the time. You do this one time and it's done forever. Now, something you cannot make an SOP for is reviewing, which is where managing comes in. To manage the people on my team, there's like, how I like to do this, let's talk about managing here, right? So managing. So there's 2 things that kind of come into managing, which is personal and then business, right? How do you manage them personally? How do you manage them business-wise? So personal-wise, I have 1 call, okay, per month where we just do like some goal setting. Some goal setting and just some review of like how they've been doing. How are they doing mentally? How are they doing at home? Is there anything I can help them with? How are they doing at the business? How are they feeling? Right? This is just a standard call that you would have, right? Even a lot of corporate companies have this to check in with their employees, etc. Okay? So that's what I do on the personal side, and we'll talk about some more things I do in managing. On the business side, I like to have 1x per day, okay? 1x per day team calls. And on these team calls, we literally do basically one of 3 things. So the first thing we do is we review. The second thing we do is we role play. And that's about it. It's just reviewing role play. And then the last thing is like if there's any announcements to make, right? Or any questions that they want to ask. But on these calls, it should be just review, role play, review, role play, review, role play, going back and forth, reviewing role play to make them better. Right? To make them better. The whole goal as a leader is your goal is how can I make my team better? The main question you need to ask yourself as a leader of your team, of cold calling team, whatever, it doesn't matter, is what could I do to make you better? One of the questions I ask my team all the time is what could I do to make you better? What could I do to help you? What could I do to make you book more appointments? What could I do to make your time more efficient? What could I do to help you? Which gives them the chance to give me feedback on what I can do to make them better, which is what my goal should be as a leader anyway, is what can I do to make them better? Because once again, when you have a team, your best investment is in making your team better. Because if you make your team better and your team consists of 2, 4, 8, 10 people, you've now went from, instead of making 1 person better yourself, you made 10 people better. Think about the ROI on time there. So your main goal as a manager is to think, how can I make my team better? That's it. That's all you should ever ask is, how can I make my team better? Now, the last thing I do with managing is I like to have fun. So what I would do is once per week, I would have a game night. And we would hop in a call Friday night and play games for 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours, right? Do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, but I love to have fun with my team because I treat my team like my brothers, right? I love those guys on my team, and I want to make sure they know that, and therefore they stay for more than just the money, which is really important, okay? And so once a week, game nights, right? This is something I love to do. You don't have to do this. Another thing I'll add in here, which I did for managing my teams, is competitions, right? And so I would have competitions every week. And in these competitions, you could win a new mic. I typically like to relate it to the thing they're doing to make it make sense. Maybe a new webcam, right? Sometimes I would just send them money, right? Maybe a Discord subscription, right? It doesn't matter. But I would like to have competitions to incentivize them to do well. And the competition would be based on like who books the most appointments or who does the most calls. You can switch it up, right? But you want to have competition within your team. Another thing I'll touch on, which I don't think I actually ever wrote here, but this is compensation. Typically, industry average is you pay cold callers 5% of the deal if you're doing a commission-based things, which I recommend you do, because how do the best salespeople get paid? Commission. So do you want to pay your employees like little wages or like real salespeople and let them get paid in direct proportion to how much money they bring in? I know which I would pick, right? And what you do is you can do 5% of deal. You can do pay per appointments, right? Or pay per show as well, like, pay per show at appointment. If you know your metrics, you can only do this if you know your metrics. Like, hey, we know if we get 10 appointments, 50% show, 5 show, and we close at 20%, we close one deal out of every one of that. So we can end, we collect on average $2,000 up front on every deal. And so we can pay you $300 per, or my bad, we can pay you $100 per short appointment. And that would mean that you're paying $500, right, to make $2,000. Once again, you can only do this if you know your metrics really well. The only other way you could pay them is base, but I do not like base because it does not incentivize them properly, and therefore it's no bueno. The only time I'd ever add a base is if like I just, like you can add like maybe like a little base, like, hey, I'll pay you $500 a month if you hit $100 per day every single day on top of the commission. Therefore, there's like, if they show up and do the work, regardless how shit they are, they will still get paid after the month. If they're really that bad, they didn't make any other money, they will probably leave, and I'll probably fire them anyway because it takes more time for me to manage them than it does for the money they bring in. Okay? So that's the compensation thing. Now, the last thing I want to touch on, which kind of goes hand in hand with managing, which is culture and longevity, is just all of this, right? If you want your guys to stay, you have to get them, one, bought in on you, which is why a big thing I do with the qualifying and hiring stage is get them sold on me. Right, I try and sell them on me, not the job, because if they're sold on me, they'll be more likely to stay, even if the job isn't going perfectly. I get them sold on the idea that they're not here just to make money. No, they're here to learn. And when they're there to learn, they'll be way more open to staying and actually learning from you, which will allow you to keep a good culture. Another thing I do is culture is lead by example. If you want to show somebody how to do something, be good at it yourself. So if you want to teach them role play or objection handling, be good at it yourself. Lead by example is a huge thing to make sure you have a good culture and have good longevity. And then I think the last thing is just making sure that you and your team have fun, right? Make sure that your team is more than just a team, right? Make sure it's a real fun group to be a part of, right? You want to make sure that people want to be part of your team more than just the money, which is why the biggest thing I do in this qualifying stage, once again, is make it more than just the money. I make it more than just about the money, because if someone only joins for the money, there's always someone who's willing to pay more, and so it'll never turn out well. Okay, so making sure you put a huge emphasis on culture in your team. It's one of the biggest things I could just say, if there's one thing to focus on with your cold calling team, it's make sure you have the right culture. Because if you have the right culture in place, you won't have to force people to make dials. You won't have to sit there and deal with shitty people. You have the right culture, people who want to get better. Right? I remember once my cold calling team would sit in the Discord call all day, every day, and when they weren't cold calling, they would role play with each other. That's how, I would be sleeping, and they would be out here cold calling, role playing, etc. I once had a guy that would stay up till 5 a.m. every single day because he was in a different time zone just to role play with the other guys. And they had their own separate. I had a Discord for them. They made their own separate Discord so they could talk more often. It was insane. Okay, it was absolutely insane, right? And the last thing I didn't really mention, with the training and SOPs, to make sure you give them a KPI tracker. If you don't already have a KPI tracker, if you join my free Discord community, you can get access to my KPI tracker along with every other SOP I've ever made in my life. All free. It's in there for free. No obligation to buy anything at all. Just go take it, steal it, use it for your team, etc. So, yeah, that is it. That is the entirety. That is everything I know about building an SMMA cold calling team to the best of my abilities, right? The setup, the compensation, how to find them, how to qualify, how to hire, how to train, how to build SOPs, how to manage them, how to create good culture and longevity, and everything in between. That being said, I got to go get a haircut. If you look at this, look at my hair. All right, I'm going to get a haircut for my boy at the barber shop. Okay, he's going to hook it up. So you'll see me with some shorter hair next time. Nice cleaned up cut. That being said, I'm going to head out of here. If you want access to all these KPI trackers and even cold calling scripts, in my free Discord, you can get access to all that stuff. But yeah, hope this helped. Hope this was educational enough for you to now build your own team so you can book a bunch of appointments. Peace.